Hello, everybody. In today's episode, we talk about Duke's star QB being sued, Darian Mensa. Has NIL ruined the morale in college sports? I'm Dr. Will Gray III. Before we get started, please like, share, subscribe, follow, comment, leave questions in the comments, and we would definitely be willing to answer those as soon as we get them. And with that being said, let's get going. Today's talk, we're going to cover a few points. Who is Darian Mensa, background of the case that's going on. What role does NIL play in this case? Legal issues in the case. How does Darian Mensa impact the NCAA? Will more universities take action? And then will the NCAA take back control? First and foremost, let's talk about who is Darian Mensa. He's the star quarterback for the Duke Blue Devils, born and raised in California, transferred from Tulane, was ranked number 2 in passing yards in 2025 in the conference, and led Duke to an ACC championship at 8-4 record. Now, with anybody who's following this, he's obviously not a one-time transfer. This is a second-time transfer. So the next team he's trying to go to, which is University of Miami, he'll be third-time transferring. So basically, he's just a gun for hire, which is totally fine in the world of NIL because there's no rules to it. There's no such thing as name, image, and likeness. These are paid-to-play deals that are being done. Now let's talk about the background of what's going on. Darian Mensa reportedly entered into an NIL-related agreement with while associated with Duke. I think there was upwards of like 6-7 mil per year or for the year, and he signed it. So a dispute arose over financial obligations, contractual expectations that he was tampered with by University of Miami. You read that right, tamper with. There's no rules in the world of NIL. Now, with that being the case, this sets the basis or the grounds for rules that will come into play. And it's going to really put a damper on how the transfer portal works, how the money works, how things move around. And for all the actual athletes who are taking advantage of this or who are abusing the system, you're going to hurt the future people who are coming behind you who can't make that level of money. But who cares, right? Duke Duke filed a lawsuit alleging there was a breach in the agreement. Mensah disputes the claims, raising questions about NIL contract enforcement. See that? So Duke said we agreed to this. Mensah says it's not a contract, basically. You see how that becomes a thing? Now, what's going to start happening? I'm going to say this earlier. I'll talk about it later. The actual players are going to be placed on contracts. These contracts are going to have buyouts. The buyouts in the contracts are going to cost more than what the contract is actually worth. And then the universities will be making money off of people who are tampering with their players and wanting their players transferred. Then that's going to set a precedent of how do we decrease the amount of money moving back and forth. Now the actual players are become employees. Then they're going to be a cap on how much you can make. Now the Wild Wild West has definitely been civilized a little bit. And it's only going to get worse. The school's going to take back control because the players really have no control in here. They think that the NIL itself, name, image, and likeness, is their control. It's not. So this sets the grounds for change. It's going to happen. Not if, not when. It's going to happen. Now let's talk about more what roles does the NIL play in the case. NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. Allows college athletes to earn money through endorsements, appearance, and branding. As you see, there's no endorsements, appearance, and branding that is being associated with these deals. I just pay you to play here. NIL agreements are private contracts, not traditional athletic scholarships. See, they are private contracts, but the enforcement of said contracts has not been tried until recently when the athlete basically signs a deal and then he leverages that deal into another deal in the same year. Which, hey, coaches did it. Why not players? I'm going to tell you why in a little bit. NIL equals only pay for play. There's no such thing as name, image, and likeness. That's just the umbrella they put this under to make it sound a certain way. The lack of standardized NIL rules increases the risk of legal disputes. This is going to continue going forward, and you're going to catch more contracts that are going to be harder to get out of, and it's going to mess up what's going on for the athletes, which is being able to make their top dollar. Now, let's talk about legal issues in this case. Contractual obligation. Did both parties clearly understand and fulfill their agreement? We have to assume yes, because it was signed by both parties that agreed to pay this quarterback a certain amount of millions, right? Enforceabilities. Are NIL deals legally binding in the same way as business contracts? Yes, they are. They're a private contract, so you actually can sue somebody because they signed their name to agree to a certain terms. So it's almost like a simple contract or just a contract in general that says that this is what we decided on, we signed on this day, is verified. So as a result, there's a breach of said contract. Yes. Athlete protection. Do athletes fully understand the legal consequences of NIL? They do not understand. They do not care. They care about the money. They don't realize that the legal consequences are only going to tighten more because as these contracts get bigger, then the money is going to have to decrease because you can't afford to pay everybody $7 million. People say, "Well, the colleges made billions." That's true. They have made billions. Now, explain to me how you're going to pay for all the other players in other sports. Oh, we don't care about them. We just care about football. Exactly. This thing called Title IX. Can't happen. See how that works? Nobody considers anyone else because they think they're performing or operating like a private entity in the fact that they're an NFL team, a big team. Think about it. Team singular, college universities plural. Problem. Now, power imbalance, university versus individual student athletes. I'm gonna say this ahead of time for every athlete that catches this actual episode. You are not going to maintain your power. You have none. You're not leveraging your name, image, and likeness, which makes you a brand. You're not. What commercials do you see multiple athletes in? You see very few athletes in commercials. Why do you see very few athletes in commercials? Simple. They don't care about actually branding themselves or using their name, image, and likeness to be able to level the playing field of having some leverage. They don't. They care about getting paid. So now the system is backloaded, or my bad, front loaded. I get paid early. Forget what happens down the line, right? Okay, let's move forward. Now, how does Darian Mensa impact the NCAA? The NCAA is not going to be able to do anything. If I'm being honest with you, they're weak. But the commissioners of these leagues are going to start to do things. Why? Because eventually the big leagues, who control all the money and the power and infrastructure and TV deals, are going to make this where there's going to be a cap. Why would you do that? Super leagues coming. Can't keep playing these players this much. I'm just being real with you. The NFL is going to step in also. It's going to create a whole different issue within the world of college sports. These athletes don't see it coming yet, but it's coming. Raising concerns about how universities structure NIL relationships. Yeah, true enough, that impact the NCAA. It could influence how schools manage collective and athletic agreements. It's going to influence, and it's going to definitely happen. May encourage more transparency and compliance and safeguards. For sure. Why would I not promote transparency and then turn around and say, hey, these are the actual things we're going to do to safeguard ourselves? Buyouts. That's it. As to the national debate on athlete compensation and rights, contracts are about to become a thing. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Just get ready. And when it shows up, do not be upset. You did not leverage your name, image, and likeness. You just made money, which is cool. Just make sure that when going forward, when this is minimized, that you made all the money you wanted to make because it's going to stop. Now, I don't have an issue with athletes making money. I'm cool with it. I just hate that it's happening this way because now the people coming behind them, the other athletes, they're about to get cut out. So they're not gonna make same level of money. It's almost like Jamarcus Russell being such a big bust. It changed how much a rookie can make as a quarterback in the first round. He didn't care about what went behind him, but the NFL saw it. So they made it sure that it capped it out. You can't make what Jamarcus Russell made back in the day. There's no way possible. See how that happens? Now I have to go out here and hopefully I can get to my second contract. Things happen in football. Injuries, play bad. So that's why a lot of athletes or quarterbacks have to start early when they get to the league because the teams are not waiting for you to develop. For what? You're not going to take actually 10, 15 million when your contract comes up when they're trying to renegotiate it after your first contract ends, are you? You're not. So, with that being said, will the university take back control? Yes. Will players finally get a taste of the real world? Yes. How will the transfer portal look in 3 years? I think you're going to be allowed to transfer once, but I think after that, you're going to actually not be allowed to transfer without sitting out a period. And then I also think that the transfer portal needs to be kind of pulled back anyway. There's too many athletes without homes after they transfer. So, a lot of them making mistakes and they're still kids in a sense. Yeah, they getting paid, but they still have an actual level of immaturity to be able to understand why you transfer when you transfer. And then Darian Mensa is at the University of Miami after a transfer fee was given. They didn't say, they said we came to agreements. We came to a legal agreement or a legal settlement. Transfer fee, I promise you. Miami had to pay something, whether it was up on top or behind the closed doors. They hid it underneath a certain layer of protection so you won't ever find out. But he's at the University of Miami now. Now we have to hope that he plays well, and we have to hope that the actual universities or the people who make all the decisions don't say, hey, I'm tired of this. Now, With that being said, if you made it to this point in the talk, thank you so much for making this far. If you have any questions or any issues, or you actually don't agree with what we said, that's totally fine too. Leave in the comments. This is a good talking point because eventually it's going to get to a place where we don't have to discuss this. And as time goes on, things are only going to increase in actual volatility because nobody's trying to correct anything. Nobody cares. Everybody just cares about making money, which is fine. Make all the money. Just know there's consequence. And with that being said, I hope you have a blessed one. See you soon.